All right, guys. So let's start. Do we have any questions before we start?
No, sir.
No.
Okay. So as we created the instance yesterday, but we deleted it later, and then we also have to try and do an SSH to that machine, correct? So let's go create the machine again and connect to that. So let's do that all over again. Test VM Linux, image AWS, Linux AWS image. This remain as it is. Then T2.micro free tier eligible. Yes. 1 GB RAM, 1 CPU. Yes. Key pair. Yesterday we created one. So let's select that. Network. We don't have any option rather than selecting default. So default preference US West to A, auto assign public IP enable, which means it gets the public IP. Security group, yesterday we created one, my SD. So we select that and rest launch. That's it. Okay. So when you click on the machine, you get the public IP, right? So take the public IP and let's connect it via SSH. Now we know that it's a Linux machine, right? So we can only do an SSH to that. There is no graphical user interface to it. When I say no, it doesn't mean that there is no graphical user interface at all. There is. But Linux machine comes with a default command line. It doesn't come with a default UI. If you want a UI, we have to install the UI package. Okay. Anyways, that is also out of scope. We are not going to do that because if UI was required command line, we already have Windows for that. Then we don't need Linux operating systems. So basically, whenever we talk about Linux and whatever distribution in Linux, let's say Red Hat, Ubuntu, CentOS, Debian, Fedora, we are talking to a command line. And when you say command line of Linux, that is always going to be a shell, SSH, secure shell. Okay, bash shell, born again shell, correct? And to connect to that shell, you require a client. And what is that client? That is known as a SSH client. So if you go to Google and check, there are many SSH clients. SSH client for Windows because I'm using the base Windows, right? See, you'll find n number of clients, right? Out of that, which I prefer the most is this putty. So to reach here directly, you can also type putty download. Click the first link, download putty. Okay. The very first link, putty.org, download putty. And here you get this putty.exe. According to the architecture of your laptop, desktop, whatever machine you're using locally, click it. Let's say putty.exe. The moment you click it, this will fall under your downloads folder. It's a plug and play device, .exe. You know that whenever you want to run a script on Windows, it will always be in the form of .exe. So basically a script will run and this client will open. Basically, this is the client. You see putty configuration, this is the client. You can also put this .exe file on the taskbar, same like this. So you don't need to install that. You don't need to configure that. It's a plug and play device. So the moment you click here, putty.exe, if you double click it, it will open like this. Okay. So 1 second, let me close the previous versions. Yeah. Right. Now, using this, how to connect to the VM. So let's go to this page again. Take the public IP. Now, you know that to log into a machine, whichever Linux, Windows, you require a username and password. So password is out of question because we are using a public key, but the username will be there, correct? So the default username on Amazon Cloud Platform to log into the Linux machine is EC2 user. You cannot log in via root on Linux. Okay. On Linux, root is the administrator, root user, but you cannot log in via root. You can log in via EC2 hyphen user. This is a default user at the rate public IP. Now, instead of public IP, can I use the public DNS?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct. You can use the goodness of the public IP is that it can be mapped to a public DNS, not private. Okay. So tomorrow, don't think that I'm referring to a private DNS. I'm referring to a public DNS, which is publicly available, publicly hosted, publicly purchased from the domain provider like GoDaddy, BigRock, okay, hostinger.com. These are domain providers. When you purchase a domain from them, they give you a DNS name. And when you map that DNS name to your public IP like this, the domain becomes publicly available. So I'm referring to that domain name and not the private one, which is not purchased. Okay. So we'll talk about DNS also later. It's there in your syllabus. But right now, the answer to the question is yes. We can use the public IP or the publicly available DNS also. Wherever you can use public IP, there you can use the public DNS. Okay. So I'm using the public IP for the timing here. And to connect to that, we require our private key, right? Yesterday, which we downloaded. So click on SSH. I mean, there will be a plus sign. Click on that. Here you will find auth for authorization. Click on that and click on browse. Then browse your private key wherever it was. So it was here only yesterday. So the name of the batch is Jan. AWS, no. AWS Devops, no. Okay, let's do that again. EC2 user at the rate public IP. Go to SSH, go to auth, browse the key, search for the key. It should be PPK. So that is the key. Radical January 2023 weekend. Okay, open. Okay, come to the session. Name the session as test VM Linux Radical Jan. Name it in the putty client so that you remember what this machine is. Otherwise, you will not remember. See, I have so many machines. How do I remember which machine is what? So for me, I mention the name and the batch name and time so that I understand this virtual machine belongs to this batch and this time. For you, this logic could be different because you are not the trainer, correct? You are the student. You will only take one batch at one time. So you can name it anything, but at least differentiate between the type of machine it is because we are going to come with a lot of machines now. So make sure you understand this thing. Okay, then save it and then open, accept, and you're done. You're logged in. Okay, make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll minimize this window for the time being. And there's one more option here, connect. Click on connect. Now here, you also have an option to directly connect, which means you don't need the client also actually. right? Click here. See, connect. It will open the shell on the browser. See, okay. What is this connection known as? This is also a shell, but then this shell is being accessible to you because of the browser. So what is happening is your browser, your local browser is sending a REST API to the Amazon cloud platform. It is opening the shell there somehow, but the access to the shell we are getting is over the browser. So basically, you are using a REST API to send your signals. By using putty, you are directly sending the shell, which means that directly the shell context. Okay, so the command which you will send from the shell will be directly sent to the shell encrypted on the port number 22. Here you are sending the command via the REST API, which means this REST API will bundle your shell command. Somehow the same operation will happen. Somehow the same output you will get, but the executions of both the things are different. Okay, so we can use both the methods. There's no problem. This is also encrypted. If you check the link, this is going to be HTTPS. And HTTPS means secure. See, HTTPS. Okay, so Amazon will not work on HTTP. It is such a big company, so it's not going to make that mistake. So, both the things. Why did I show you both? Because you may not understand or you may not get all the privileges. Maybe you don't have access to putty. You don't have the public IP. You don't have the private IP. Okay, so you cannot access. You can only connect via this browser. That's possible. Other option is you don't have access to EC2 instance connect. You can only log in via putty. That is also possible. Correct? And not necessary you use putty. You can use any SSH client. Okay. When we will jump on to Git, I will show you there's another client, Git Bash. From there also you can do an SSH to your Linux machine. That is also possible. Okay. Right now, we are learning all the things together. Correct? So this is one of the aspect of connecting to a Linux machine. You can connect to a Linux machine using various clients. Not necessary it has to be putty client or an SSH client. It can be other client also. Whoever supports SSH will be able to do that. Make sense? So right now we have these methods. Anyways, let's move ahead and look into other aspects of this window. See, this window can be changed also. Let's say I want to change the appearance of this. So I will change the appearance to a font and the size which I like. I can also change the color of this window and I can make it looks like a like this. This is looking much better, right? So this is also what I can do. Plus, I can close this. And the moment I open the putty again, I double click it and I can open it again. So this is the goodness of your putty. You are connected to your virtual machine within a second from your local laptop. So though you don't have any hard dependency on your browser or something. Even if you don't use your Amazon cloud platform console right now, you're logged into your VM. And that is more important, right? You should be connected to your server rather than the console sometimes if you want to work. So this is how it is, right? Make sense?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's go ahead now. This is how the Linux virtual machine looks like. There will be a lot of commands. We are going to learn a lot of things, but with time, right? As soon as the time comes, we'll do that. Right now, for the users, since we are already on the Linux shell, let me teach you a few basic commands. Now, let's say when you log in, which user did you use? EC2-user. Now, how to verify that? The command is who am I? Who am I will tell you which is who are you right now on this shell. Because on this black screen, you will not understand anything unless you have worked on it or you know basic commands, right? So this is for your goodness, your betterment that you learn Linux now, correct? Now, I'm going to teach you, of course, but see, as I told you, I've given you this link yesterday, Roadmap to DevOps. Come here, scroll down, create your free accounts. Okay. Steps to launch the VM. The same thing which I showed you in practical, the links will do the same. You have a YouTube video, different users for various operating system. As I told you that EC2 user is a default user for Linux, right? But that is only for Red Hat based Linux. If you use Ubuntu, Fedora, Debian, the user might change. Now, how to know which user it is? So go on the link and check this. That's why I've mentioned the link here. Okay. How to create a Windows VM? This we will see in some time. Basic Linux and Linux and networking command. This is a very good link which I've mentioned here, and I want each one of you to go through these links and fire the command. Let's say this link, and you are working on it for the first time. What is it? Learn basic Linux command. What is Linux? So read it. This is for you. I know this already. Okay. So basic commands, PWD. What does it do? Read the context. LS. What does it do? Read the context. This is how you're going to learn. Make directory, remove, touch, man, help, copy, move, locate, echo. Okay. These are the commands which are mentioned here. This will help you. There are other links also. This is networking. Okay. Ping. You know what is a ping, right? So ping, these are the arguments for ping command. Netstat. What does it do? Read this. These are all commands which are used on Linux. So the moment you start using the commands, you become familiar with this Linux operating system and this shell specifically. Okay. Anyhow, who am I is one of the commands. Now, where are you on this shell? So PWD, present working directory. You are under home directory of this user, EC2 user. How to check the file system of this Linux? So df hyphen capital H capital T. This gives you the file system layout, which means dev xvda is your original volume of 8 GB. You remember while creating the VM, it tells you 8 GB disk. This is the disk. What is the type of file system? XFS. If you know what is XFS, good. If you don't know, then again, add one more topic to your self research and development. File systems on Linux. In Windows, the file system is known as NTFS, New Technology File System. We don't often use that. I mean, it is there, so we are using it. We need not to know the end-to-end details about it. Otherwise, we are using NTFS every day. The moment you log into your Windows laptop, you're working on the disk drive. The disk drive is actually a file system, and the technology of the file system is NTFS. Do we really care about this every day? No, but that doesn't mean that we should not, know it or we ignore it. We should definitely know about that. Same goes for Linux also. The moment you log into the shell, all the components of your VM, like hard drive, CPU, memory, capacitors, everything on the motherboard come to life, come to existence. Correct? Out of that, the storage is one of the major components. Without storage, the VM will not work only. You will not be able to log in. I am logging to this VM because all the organs of this, component are working fine. Out of them, storage is one of them. So the heart of the storage is file system, because it is running the XFS file system. Because if I create a blank file here, the command is touch creates a blank file, radical.txt, a text file. Where is this happening? On the disk, on the storage. So if the file system is not healthy, will this file be created? No. So that is why every storage has a file system. Every operating system will have a file system, and that is known as a disk, basically the volume of the operating system, and on the top of the operating system there is a file system. Okay, so the file system, this XFS, this is known as extended file system. And what it does, how it does, we don't need to know it right now. As I told you, basic information around any particular topic is more than sufficient for you, right? So the thing to know here is every operating system will have a file system, and on Linux, this is the command to grep that. Grep means sort it. All right, free -m. This is a command which will show you your memory. free memory in megabytes. Hyphen M means megabyte. Okay. You can also put GIC. There's no gigabyte actually because the memory is only into a megabyte. I mean, this is 1 GB RAM, correct? So out of 1 GB RAM, you don't get everything. You know that. You are only getting 964 MB. So that's why hyphen G is not working. There's no gigabytes. There's only MB. Used is 85 MB, free is 274 MB. For buffering and cache, it's already taken 604 MB. But total available MBs are 740. So that is good. I can use 740 MB on this virtual machine. Top command will show you all the running processes on your Linux operating system. This is same like opening a task manager. So from Windows Task Manager, you can right click and close the task, right? End the task. You can do it here also, but with the command. So how to close PID number? PID is process ID. So you can close the process. You can check here, what is this process doing? These are all system commands. When you started the Linux operating system, this VM, all these processes are running on your Linux operating system. And because of this process only, we are able to do an SSH. These are all system commands, all system processes. Okay. Out of this, not even one or a single process I am running it by myself. This is all system. Okay. But somehow we will be able to check every process on the Linux operating system by this command top. And I can also kill that process. I will show that to you later how, but we can kill every process here. Same like task manager. Okay. Then, yeah, you see here in the top command, when I fired the top command, that was also a process. Now, I hope you guys know this very well, that everything on your computer, a laptop, desktop, or high-end computer, supercomputer, quantum physics computer, whatever, it's a computer, correct? Whatever you do on your computer is a process. The moment I fired top command, that also started as a process. See, it came under command top and the process ID is 3909. And who started it? EC2 user. How much memory does it take? 0.4 MB. And how much processor did it take? 0.3 MB. Okay. So everything is a process on Linux and on every operating system. This is the basics of computing. All right. All right. Then you have a command called ifconfig. This will show you your private IP. Is this the private IP of the VM? Let's check. Yes, this is the private IP of the VM. How to check the DNS host name? This is the host name of the machine. You know, this host name and IP, you can consider this is your name and this is your telephone number, mobile phone number. This is how you identify this machine. Every human being have got phone today and they fortunately have names also. So what a combination. Everyone has name and a mobile phone number, right? So how do you identify a virtual machine? Can I identify the same thing using that logic that this machine is a human and this is the name and this is the phone number of this? Can I do that? Yes, I do that and I am able to identify the logic that yes, this is my logic and this is how I'm able to identify the VM. You guys can use that as well. Otherwise, if you find even much better logic than that to identify, you can use that as well. It's not a mandate. Okay. This was just a logic which came into my mind and I have been using that. All right. So every machine will have a host name and an IP. Without an IP, this machine will never work. This machine can never work in networking because it will not have a network. Na? Let's say your phone, your smartphone, if it does not have a network, will it connect to internet? No. If you do not have a data, it will tell you no data, sorry, recharge. Correct? So what does it mean? It is requiring a network. Let's say your Wi-Fi router at home. If the Wi-Fi router is stopped, let's say shut down, will your internet work? No. Even if it is started and your internet service provider has stopped your services, will it work? No. So this is what I mean to say. Network is important. If there is no network, things will not work. And under the network, if there is no IP, your system is not going to communicate with other mediums. So IP is one of the most important entity of your virtual machine. It's a very important resource. Okay. And in Linux operating system, with the help of this command if config, you will be able to find out how many network card I have. This ATH0 is a physical network card on Linux operating system. So in Windows, how do you check that? You have this, you used to have this option here. Somehow it is not there. In Windows, you go to, where do you go? Network. Here. In settings, you have network and internet. See, Wi-Fi is connected. This is one device. What is this? This is a Wi-Fi device. Can I call this as my network interface card? Yes, I can do that. But how many network card do I have? If I want to see, I can go to advanced network settings here. View all network adapters. Okay. So basically, this is one of the adapters. See, it's working now. Bluetooth is also one of the adapters. This is all my devices. Ethernet 2. So basically, I only have one device here, physical, and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are virtual. Yeah, see this. Bluetooth is not operational right now. Wi-Fi is working. So if I see, I can go to properties and I can click on IPv4, say properties. So it is obtaining the IP address manually. Sorry, automatically. Who is giving the IPs? My Wi-Fi router. So this is my Intel Wi-Fi adapter. So this becomes my network card. Correct. But before this also, I have a physical network card. That how do I search? 1 second. Okay. Anyhow, every physical machine will have this network card. So this is how you check the network card in Linux. In Windows, the command is ipconfig. If you open the command prompt on Windows, the command is ipconfig, and here you can see wireless LAN adapter. This one we just saw, right? So this is my physical adapter right now. Okay, wireless LAN adapter. Right now, the latest laptops comes with the Wi-Fi and LAN 2-in-1. That's why I got confused. This is the only adapter I've got on my laptop. So there's only one network card on my laptop. Right now, it is having this IP. And who is giving this IP? My Wi-Fi router, who's connected to this machine through the Wi-Fi. Okay, so it's configured. This is the IP address of my Wi-Fi router. Okay, so every virtual machine or laptop, desktop server will have this component that is known as an Ethernet card. It is also known as a network card, who has an IP. Who gives the IP? It's ISP. This machine ISP, who is the ISP for this machine? Amazon Web Services. Now, who is the ISP for my laptop? My ISP, which is GBPS yesterday, which I showed you. Okay, and how it is giving me the IP? Because of my Wi-Fi router, because my Wi-Fi router is configured to use the internet connection given to me by my provider. So this is, if you compare things, you will find it's like a piece of cake. The only thing is your logic should be very clear. Okay, same things are there on the servers also and on the local level also. We only need to correlate that. Make sense? So yeah,
Yes.
that's it. Excellent. What is this free-h? What does it do?
It shows memory.
Freeze the
details.
memory.
Sorry?
It shows memory details.
Yeah, but I see the output is same like free-m.
Yes, sir, but it is showing in a human readable format.
Yeah, it's in human readable format.
So otherwise, can you fire your PF name? Right, we'll see.
Okay, same.
All right, no problem. Now this will go on and on because in Linux, to do one particular task, you will find at least two or more than two methods. It can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 also. This is the goodness of Linux that you don't need to learn a command. There is a lot of command to do one activity. Okay. That you will learn over time. No problem. Now let's move ahead. Now we have known a few things about Linux. What else can we do? Yeah. So which user I am right now? EC2 user, correct? Can I become root on this prompt? Which means can I become administrator on this Linux? Yes. The answer to that is yes. And the command is sudo su hyphen. This will log into root user via SSH, which means EC2 user has become root now. See, who is root? Root is the administrator on Linux. And this will be the highest user on the Linux operating system. And we will be working as root only most of the times. Okay. And the slash is the main file system for Linux. Basically, if you compare Windows, in Windows, you install the operating system on C drive. Then you create a D drive, then E drive. What are these drives? These drives are basically compartments in your hard drive, correct? Here in Linux, you don't have that C drive, D drive, and all that. Here you have a slash partition. This is the single compartment. Inside this compartment, all the other compartments will come. See, so if I want to call slash var, how does it look like? ls slash var. This command means I am trying to find out what is there under this compartment. This is also a part of a file system. So basically slash var, but slash var will be considered as a folder only. Why? Because for Linux, everything is a file. A directory is also considered as a file. A process is also considered as a file. Okay. Linux has its own method of executing the process. So to execute the process, it has to consider everything as a file. Okay. This is the terminology. But somehow this slash var is actually be considered as a folder. See, it will list everything what is there under the slash var folder. Slash var folder is one of the compartments of the file system, but that is considered as a folder. That's why I can easily understand what are the other folders under var. Now under var I see account. So I can do like this slash var slash account. I can go inside that also. So this is how we can use the file system. Okay. Now the homework for you guys is, if you already are from Linux background, then you can skip that. But people who are new and want to explore Linux, just go and check out what is bin, boot, etc, home, root, temp, user, and var. These are the important partitions of Linux operating system. Without these partitions, we will not be able to work on Linux. Okay, so the mandatory partitions are like bin, boot, and home. Okay, these are the three important partitions. Without this, your operating system will not boot. Okay, at least with this three, bin, boot, and home, your operating system will boot, but you won't be able to do other activities. If you want to do a lot of other activities, then all these folders are required. So these are the mandatory compartments for Linux operating system. And same like what is the specification of C drive, D drive? We do some research on Windows, correct? Do the same thing for Linux. This is your homework for this week. Okay. This will help you to understand which partitions are required for Linux. So these are known as partitions. Where you can find the partitions? In the slash. Okay. And for Linux operating system, everything is a slash. Under slash only you will find everything. You will never find anything like this. ls where it doesn't know this. Because if there is no slash before the command, it does not understand any file system thing. Okay. So whenever you deal with file system, disk, storage, volume, partitions, compartment, you should understand that it will always be under a slash. And then under slash search wherever it is. Okay. So where are you right now? You are under slash root. So basically this, see, again the slash has come, right? So slash root is the home directory for root user. So whatever this guy will do, everything will be under this place. Okay. So slash root becomes the root user, and this is the home directory for that user. Okay. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Great. So now let's go and create a Windows operating system. So let's launch instance. Name this VM as test VM Windows. Operating system we have to select. We cannot just select Linux now because it's a Windows operating system, right? So Microsoft Windows Server 2022 base. Yeah, that should be fine. This is the latest and I'm okay with that. Free tier eligible. This is more important. Okay. Key pair login. We will also require a key pair for this. So select this key pair. Network, we will select the default. Subnet, I will select US 2B. Auto assign IP, I need public IP. Security group, I will use the same MySD. And see, it is giving you 30 GB now because this Windows will contain graphical user interface. So the hard drive size will increase automatically. In Linux, it was only 8 because the operating system image was 1 GB. Here, the image will be more than 10 GB. Okay, because this is Windows. So you just go and launch it. So what is the difference between Linux and Windows? Image, REST network, key pair, security group, firewall, everything can be same. We only need to make a small piece of a change. And that change is, I'll tell you. Let this virtual machine be launched properly first. You should see here running. Okay. And since it's Windows, it will take at least 2-3 minutes because it's a very heavy operating system. It comes with a graphical user interface and that makes it heavy. Linux is lightweight because it does not have UI, which means the size of the operating system is very less. And you connect to that VM, like a very, very fast. Okay. So, yeah, seems to be running. Still, we have to wait. Now, if you don't know how to connect to Windows, click on connect. Okay. There are multiple ways of doing that, but we'll be selecting this RDP client. Okay. RDP client. What is RDP? Remote desktop program. Basically, RDP is also known as remote desktop connection, which means I'm going to take a remote desktop of the machine. You have also taken a remote access of Linux. But how? Using a shell, because Linux does not have UI. In Windows, you have a graphical user interface. So what do you take? Remote desktop. How to do that? Again, using a client. Where is the client? You can again download the same client from Google, but here they give you the client. Download remote desktop file. So click on that. See. Okay. Username, they've already mentioned administrator. For password, they are telling you get password. So click on get password. Okay. Now, what does it tell you? They're telling you you have used this key for login, correct? So upload the private key file. This is what they are telling. So we will upload the key file. Mhm. Okay. Here there's a small issue. The issue is in Amazon Cloud Platform, what we call a private key is the public key for them. And for them, whoever is the public key is a private key for us. So when they say upload private key, basically that is a public key. And we have not installed the public key yesterday. We have directly downloaded the private key. So if you remember yesterday, while downloading the key, we had two options. One was .pem and one was .ppk. So we download the ppk. That is basically a private key to log into the Linux machine directly. But in Windows, they are asking me .pem file. So if we upload that pem file, that will get converted into the password and I will be able to log into the VM. Okay, so right now I have two options. Either create a new key pair for this Windows or convert my existing private key into public and upload that. Now, I'm not really sure if I can do that, but let me see. Load an existing private key. Okay, so let me load this. Save public key. Can I do this? Close. Let me check if I am able to do that. So January I have pem file. Does it start with begin? Okay, it looks the same way. Let me try this file .pem. So upload the pem file. Okay, for the January, the one which we just converted. This is the one. Begin RSA private key. The format is different. It should be like this. Once it is hashed, we cannot change it. Let me try it once again. Uh, okay, no problem. We'll do one thing. Cancel.
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, the PEM is opposite of PPK. Is it like that? Like
There's no
PPK is
opposite.
private, I guess.
It's not opposite. It is the key factor authentication. Whenever you want to log in via key, there will always be a public key and a private key. Okay, and public key and private key are always encrypted, but both the keys should be in accordance with each other, which means the key is going to lock only when there is a proper public key attached to it. And the public key will try to unlock only if it is a proper private key. So it's like, that is why that is known as a key pair. Right now,
Okay,
what has
okay.
happened
Yeah.
is, yeah, right now, what has happened is, yesterday we directly downloaded the private key, which means Amazon tells me for Linux, I already have a lock. Okay. We
Yes,
already
sir.
have a lock. And to unlock this, there was a key. Okay. We use this key. And we downloaded this key directly from Amazon. Right now, for Windows, it is telling me that I do have a lock, but you are not having a proper key because the key which we have is a private key. It also requires a .pem, that is a public key. That is for us. For them, it is a private key. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
right now I have two methods. Either I change the key pair. Can I do that? Security, maybe actions, instance settings, security, get Windows password. No, networking. No, instance settings.
I think we need to delete and create new instance.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes, sir. There is no such privilege to change the key pair in AWS.
Hmm. Yeah, I know that. Just checking this behavior. To, if I have a private key, I should be able to convert it to a public key. Let me have. Okay, here you have key pairs option. There's a separate page for that. Whatever key pairs you have, you see it over here. And what actions do I have? If I create a new key pair, okay. Anyways, let's do that. Let's delete the instance, terminate.
So, what is the difference between .pem and ppk?
Okay, let's create a new Windows VM with a new key because I can do that only while creating the. Okay, test VM Windows operating system, and key pair, right? So I will select create a new key pair. This will be Windows. Now this is what I was referring to. PEM. This .pem is a public key for us. For Amazon, that is known as a private key. It is somehow opposite, but PEM and PPK are the two different formats. Okay, here it is telling you for use of OpenSSH, which means if you get this PEM, this will act as a public key for us and private key for Amazon, and it will work both ways. It will help you to decrypt the password for Windows also, right? And plus, one more benefit, the PEM file will be able to create a PPK also. This is one of the benefits. Okay. If you don't want to use all these features, if you only want to use this key for Linux, we have used this option yesterday. It will only give you the .ppk. Basically, that is private key for us and public key for Amazon, which means they are holding the lock and we are holding the key. It's something like that. Okay. And when I download this PEM, I get the lock only directly. And with the help of that lock, I can create the key for that. And I'll show you the method now. Okay. So we are using .pem now, this key, and I'm creating a new key pair. Now this will get downloaded as a .pem. This is a public key for us. For Amazon, it is going to be, the private key. So let's go and security group will keep as it is, my SG. What is next? Network. Let's create this in US West 2B. Okay, launch. Let's store this file somewhere. Okay, pasted it in this folder. And now Windows running, still in. Anyways, Windows, click on connect, click on RDP client, download the new file. You have the username administrator, public DNS, get password. Now you upload the private key. So for private key, we will use the PEM file, the one which we just used. You see, Windows, take that. Now it is getting the proper content, right? Decrypt the password. This is the password. So change the password, store the password somewhere. So what do I do here? This is your batch. Okay. This is your password. And then cancel this. Click on this RDP and say connect. Okay. You know one thing, this will not connect. You know why? You know what is the problem?
We haven't allow RDP in SGP security group. We have to open a RDP port number.
Yes, yes. I think we do not mention RDP.
Correct. Excellent answer. You have connected your firewall as MySG. MySG is a security group. It's a firewall, right? Yesterday we only opened port number 22. So it connected to the shell. Now I'm using the same firewall on this Windows virtual machine. Somehow this firewall is virtual. One firewall can be connected to a lot of virtual machines. It's basically, the architecture will look like this. If this is your VM, Linux and Windows, this will be a firewall, MySG. And here only 22 is allowed. Now I need to allow 3389 because this is the RDP port which works on Windows. So on Windows VM, this port is already allowed and it's working because RDP is working there, I know. But when you are sending the RDP traffic from your local laptop using port number 3389, it is disallowed in firewall. That is why the connection is not going across the firewall till your VM. Here it is terminating. right? So how to identify that? If you don't remember what's going on, click on Windows, click on security, check. This is your security group, right? Click on that on a new page. Here on the security group, you'll find my SD. Click on inbound rules. See, there's only port number 22 allowed. So then how it will work? It will not work. Then click on inbound rules, add a rule. You already have a RDP port here. Automatically 3389 will get selected. From here, say anywhere, save rules. That's it. And then again, go to that downloaded file. Okay. Connect. And now it will connect. Now it is asking you for the password, right? Which means the connection has gone through. The connection has reached your virtual machine. Now mention the password. Remember me. Okay. Okay. So you will be logged in as an administrator. So what you have done now is a big deal, because I remember when we used to do this activity in the data centers, I mean 8 years back. Oh my God, to log into a data center server, you have to coordinate with so many people. Then they provide you with the RDP access, firewall access, sometimes IPMI access. And then we used to get it with such a pain, which means your entire shift would have gone to just connect to the VM or the server. But here, see how things have changed. If you know how to work on now this is the common way. The same way you will be using this virtual machines, Linux and Windows on every cloud platform, because the basics of computer technology will never change, right? These are the basics. If you know IP, you know firewall things, you know public and private key, now you know everything, right? So you'll be able to do that. Makes sense? Now, since you are on Windows, consider this as your laptop and then do whatever you want. Install Google Chrome. You can install Putty here, which I just showed you. You can go to the browser, open my bloggers page here also. It's publicly available. You can look at the video recordings of this class on this VM as well. Okay. See, publicly available links are working, right? Hello, guys, there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, clear? Linux and Windows, any questions? Any questions, guys?
Sir,
No, sir.
can we connect that Windows server from our desktop connection, remote desktop connection by using the IP?
We have done the same thing, na? The remote desktop client is on my local laptop only. From there only we connected, right?
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys?
Yes, sir. After we create the Linux EC2 instance, can we change the host name or it is fixed
Yes.
host name?
You can do anything.
Okay.
Whatever you want, you can definitely do that. You can
Okay.
change the host name. You can add an IP. You cannot remove the existing IP, but you can add one more IP.
Okay.
You can add a firewall. You can change firewall rules. You can add inbound rules, remove inbound rules. Then you can add a volume, add a new storage. You can expand existing storage. You can decrease the existing storage. Okay. So all these things you will be able to do from here. Okay. Go to actions and check this out. Okay.
Okay. Sure. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. No problem. So this is how you create. Now let's go and learn some other techniques. Now let's say these two VM, Linux and Windows, are in a same network, right? Are they in the same network?
Same region, but two different zones.
The question is, we created these both machines in one of the regions, right? And we mentioned the default network, which was already given to us by the Amazon. We have not done anything on the network side. So my question is if both the VMs are created under one base network, default network, so are they in the same network or a different network? It's a very simple question, I believe.
Different networks.
Different networks.
They both are in different networks.
They
Yes,
both are in same network.
Because all the data center are connected to each other.
Availability zones are different for both instances.
That is correct. Availability zones are different. That I agree. But are they in the same network or a different network? I never asked you sub network, right? Okay, how many of you say same network, same network? And how many of you say
Yeah,
different network?
they are in same network.
They are in same network.
Yes.
And how many of you say different network? Okay, now nobody will say. Anyhow, the answer to that is they fall in the same network. This is what we spoke yesterday. The default network is already given to us by Amazon. That is the parent network, that 172.31, right? Out of that, since there are 4 data centers in that region, all these 4 data centers have got a subnet. A subnet. Now, see, I'm specifying a subnet from the same network, which means the parent network is 172.31 And the sub networks also contain the same thing, the same IP addresses. Only the range is different. Otherwise, it's coming from the parent network. So my question was, even if these two machines, Linux and Windows, are falling under different availability zones, do they form a same network? So the answer is yes. Even though the subnetworks are different, the parent network is the same, right? So they both fall in the same network. The proof to that is, look at the IP, private IP, the 172.31, Windows 172.31. So what does it mean? They both belong to same network. They are going to ping each other. They are going to get connected to each other by default. I do not need to do any extra configuration. So what does it mean? If you create more 5, 10 machines in the same network, they form a cluster. This is known as a cluster. Make sense? Is it difficult to form a cluster?
No.
It is not difficult to form a cluster. It is, the only thing is you need to understand networking. That is why we are learning this, right? So if you learn this, understand this, you will be able to create your own clusters tomorrow, right? So this is the understanding part, guys. Anyhow, networking we'll do it right now. First objective is, can I ping both these machines? So let's go to Linux and ping Windows. And from Windows, let's ping Linux. Then after that, let's ping Windows via the host name. And then ping Linux again with the host name. Okay, so this will help us to understand if this both machines are able to ping each other. So let's say ping the private IP of my Windows. So what is the private IP of my Windows? This one, right? It does not ping. So when it does not ping, what is the problem? What do you think would be the problem? They both are in the same network. I'm sure about this. They should definitely ping each other. I am sure about this also. But then also it does not ping. So what could be the possibility? Tell me.
Maybe they are not reachable at the moment. I don't know the reason, but
Subnet is different.
The port is not open.
Which port?
That's relevant to ping, or we have to
They
add
are
HTTP
not.
something relevant in the security group.
They are not in the same domain.
Domain? Where does domain come into picture now?
HTTP ports, I think.
Where does HTTP come into picture now?
Firewall.
Host entry should be required.
Subnet
Sorry?
is different, sir.
We'll have to add it in the security group so that the both machines can ping each other.
No, 1 second. Yeah, that's correct. But subnetwork ka kisne bola? We already spoke about subnetwork. Now I told you I'm confirming it from my end. They both are having different subnetwork, but they are from the parent network that is same. So somehow they are a part of a same network. So they will definitely ping each other. Okay. I already told this thing. So there's no question of subnetworks here. Possibilities why it is not
Windows
pinging.
side firewall is blocking this ping request. I see.
Okay,
ICMP,
Okay.
I think maybe.
correct. Now this is something on the mark. Okay. Whenever it does not ping, ping also has its own protocol. Do you guys know what is that protocol? ICMP.
I see.
Yes. And that protocol, it does not come under the other 65,535 ports. It's a special port on the hardware. And that is why there is no port number assigned to it. There's only the name ICMP. So if you want to enable ping in your network, in any cloud platform or in any network, you work on a data center network also, there also in the firewall, you have to enable the ICMP port explicitly so that it communicates the ping request over the ICMP port. Okay. And in any firewall in like in Amazon or in Google or in Azure, the ping ports are never opened by default. We have to open it manually. So let's go to again inbound rules, add rule. There will always be this all ICMP. Okay. In the source, make it anywhere and then save rules. That's it. Okay. This is first thing. You see that still it will not ping. So the second answer from the other person is also correct. Windows operating system has its own firewall now. Operating system के अंदर वहां पे भी ping allow करना पड़ेगा. There also we need to enable the ICMP. Only then this will work. Okay. Now this thing is only there in Windows. In Linux we don't have to do anything. मतलब अगर तुम Windows से ping करोगे Linux को तो Linux में कुछ नहीं करना पड़ेगा. Linux have the by default ICMP open. This is the operating system utility. In Windows, there is a Windows Defender firewall. You know, when you go to Windows, this is your Windows, right? Here type firewall. So this firewall is a Windows firewall. So here we have to you see this Windows Defender firewall with advanced security. Click on that. Inbound rules. The name of that rule is file and printer sharing, echo request. Search it for IPv4. You see this? Enable it. Right click, enable it. The moment you see the green tick, see the ping request working, right? Working?
Yes, sir.
Yes, means our laptop, we need to enable it.
Sorry?
In our
Come again?
laptop, Windows firewall, we need to enable it, right?
Your laptop.
Yes.
No. Where are we right now?
Okay. Sorry. We are in Windows machine, right? Windows. Yes.
Where are you pinging from Linux to the Windows machine, correct? And it is
Correct.
blocking you. So where will you open the port? In your Windows RDP, right?
Right.
Your laptop is out of question here. It is not doing anything. From your laptop, you are actually taking the RDP. So these are different processes. And that is the reason I thought of, this was the reason taking the prerequisites before DevOps. And that is why, by the grace of God, we are successful. Because before teaching DevOps, we clear all these fundas, which is, this funda is something, these things are not taught in your colleges, schools, and not even in your offices. This is something we need to explore from our end. And the moment you feel comfortable in these things, you will automatically start understanding DevOps in the other part of the activities by yourself. Okay. All right. So, okay. So now what we do, since we are already on the RDP desktop, we will open the command prompt here. Okay. And from here, can I ping my Linux private IP? Can I?
No.
No. How many of you say no? The question is, listen to this. Can I ping my Linux virtual machine with the private IP? Sorry?
Private IP you can.
Yes,
On VM, na?
we can, yeah.
See,
Yes,
listen
yes,
to the
can.
question again. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I got you. This is for everyone because everyone is learning. For me, everyone is equal. And I appreciate everyone's knowledge. Do not get demoralized when I say your answer is wrong. We are here to learn, and I feel pride in teaching. Okay, and I immensely feel happy when you guys understand. That is the only thing which I take trainings for. So please be honest to yourself and me also. If you don't know, say nahi aata mere ko. We are here to learn, right? So the question is, Can I ping Linux virtual machine from the Windows? Right now I'm inside my Windows.
Yes, sir. We can
Yes.
ping
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
by using public IP of Linux.
Okay, public IP. See,
Yeah.
public IP, so definitely I will ping. I know that. Public IP say I can definitely ping. Public IP means it is publicly available. I can go to Alaska, and from there also if I use the local internet connection now, and if I ping the public IP, it will respond. My question is, can I ping it via private IP?
From Windows virtual machine to Linux, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Others, would you guys want to answer this?
Yes, sir.
And why it will ping? What is the reason?
थोड़ी देर पहले हमने वो लिनक्स में वो अलाउ किया था ना पोर्ट का ICMP.
हाँ, वो भी सही आंसर है, लेकिन ये जो सवाल मैं कर रहा हूँ ये उसके पहले आएगा कि एक्चुअली में क्यों कर रहा है वो। पोर्ट तो बाद में अलाउ किया, वो तो ट्रबल शूटिंग किया तो हमको पता चल रहा ना फायरवॉल में अलाउ नहीं, लेकिन
लिनक्स का खुद
टेक्निकली
का
उसका आंसर क्या है?
लिनक्स का खुद
नहीं,
का फायरवॉल नहीं है, वो ब्लॉक नहीं करेगा ऐसा विंडोज किया विंडोज ने ऐसा कुछ.
So
नहीं,
both the
वो
machines are in a same
Hmm.
network. So
हाँ सर, पेरेंट नेटवर्क सेम है.
करेक्ट. दिस इज द करेक्ट आंसर. लॉजिकल आंसर इज बोथ द मशीन्स आर इन अ सेम नेटवर्क, इसलिए करेगा. और अगर नहीं किया तो ट्रबल शूटिंग करते समय हम लोग फायरवॉल चेक करेंगे, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग. बट देन द लॉजिकल आंसर इज दिस, इट हैज टू पिंग विद द प्राइवेट आईपी. बिकॉज मैं यही चीज घड़ी घड़ी इसलिए रिपीट कर रहा हूँ. दिस इज द मेन आंसर टू दैट. दे बोथ द मशीन्स आर इन अ सेम नेटवर्क, उनको पिंग करना ही पड़ेगा. दिस इज द कन्वेंशनल रूल ऑफ नेटवर्किंग. ओके, इसीलिए नेटवर्किंग बनाया गया था कि इनको अगर लैन से जोड़ दो तो ये ऑटोमेटिकली पिंग करेंगे. पिंग करेंगे मतलब दे कैन कम्युनिकेट. ये पिंग का प्रोटोकॉल ही इसीलिए बनाया था कि मालूम करूं कि भाई, बिकॉज सी दीज आर टू डिफरेंट मशीन्स, फिजिकल मशीन. वो लोग दोनों इंसान तो है नहीं कि वो आपस में बात करके समझ लेंगे व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू कम्युनिकेट, राइट? सो it was very important to understand how will the other machine understand that the machine one is trying to communicate with that. So that is because of ping. Okay, so it has to ping somehow, because if it is in the same network it has to definitely ping. So go and ping. Okay, clear? Now I know that I'm able to ping, which means the indication is both the machines are in the same network. That is proof. Okay, the hence proved they both are in same. Now what is the host name of my Linux? This is the host name which is given to me by Amazon. Okay, on Windows what is the host name? This is the host name. So can I ping both of them with the host name? Tell me.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Let's try then. Let's try Linux first this time. Yes, they are pinging. Excellent. Can I ping the host name of Windows from Linux? So ping. No, the Windows does not ping, but it will ping. You can find the original host name here. Private DNS. This will ping. Okay. Now tell me one thing. How does it ping with the host name? Did we do any configuration for this? No, right? So then how did it ping? What is the technique behind this?
Sir, host name may be publicly available. So
Maybe.
DNS because of
Correct. That is because of DNS, but we did not configure DNS, right? So where did this DNS come from? We know this, that this hostname is given to us by Amazon, which means Amazon is hosting the DNS service. Is it?
Yes.
See, under the VPC, you have these options: enable DNS resolution, enable DNS host names. So if you click on info, the DNS resolution attribute determines whether DNS resolution through the Amazon DNS server is supported for the VPC. So Amazon is also providing you the free DNS service. Now this thing we had to configure in our physical data center. Here we don't have to do it. How to do that in physical data center? You'll first create a new server, a separate server, Linux. You'll configure the DNS package there, which means you'll make that a DNS server. And inside that DNS server, you will make two entries, and the entries will look like this. Okay, I'm putting it here. The IP of the machine, that is 172.168.10.2. And against that, the name of the host. What will be the name of the host? Let's say my Windows host.com. This is known as a DNS entry inside your DNS server. Okay, and the second entry would be 172.168.10.111, my Linux host. Okay, and once this entries is made under DNS, the DNS is configured for both the machines. Now, both the machines can call each other by the host name. But how will Linux understand that I am pinging Windows host by the name? How will Linux understand? How it will understand that it is configured in the DNS? So, in every Linux machine, there is a file called etc resolve.conf. This is the name server line. Because of this line, whenever you ping a host name, this file will take this name server address and go to Amazon's DNS server. So basically this IP is the private Amazon's DNS server, which they have created at it for our VPC. And the entry of this the entry like this is already done inside this server. So that is why we are able to ping the host name. So it is not a magic or a miracle. It is there because there is a technique behind it. Make sense, everyone? So to make DNS service work in your network, there has to be a DNS server. And the good thing is we DevOps engineers do not configure the DNS services. It is already created. That is why Amazon is also giving it to us. Since it is already there, we should take a privilege of using that. But we should understand how it works. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So there are many things which, because of cloud platforms, our life has become very easy. And this is one of the examples. Just imagine if we do not have the DNS server, then what we could have done? We have done nothing, right? So, yeah. Now, can I change the host name of this machine, Linux and Windows both. So hostname is this. So let's change hostname. Hostname CTL set hostname. And what hostname? It should be my Linux host.com. Okay. Can I ping this host name? Yes. So it's returning my own private IP. So what does it mean? This host name, I have set it on my Linux virtual machine and it will work. Can I use this host name now from Windows? Tell me before I ping. Tell me. Can I ping this host name?
Yes.
But it does not work.
Maybe its entry is not added in DNS server.
Correct. Excellent answer. Every time you ping the host name from Windows or Linux, it is not going to directly go to that host name. How? It doesn't know that host name. It will go to the DNS and ask whether you know this name. And then it will give the IP and then it will actually ping the IP only. It will also send the ping to the IP only directly. Okay. Because IP is the one who is important and required for the communication and not the DNS. DNS is like your name and your telephone number. People cannot remember your mobile phone number. That's why they remember your name. Simple as that. Okay. And your name is mapped to your mobile phone number in the phones directory. So the phone is able to search to that. This is the same technique. All right. So we don't have access to the DNS servers. Now what to do? How can we use this service? Tell me. Because you will not have access to your DNS servers, of course. So then how to achieve this? After restart, the hostname will be set on the Windows also. I'm not restarting it right now. We'll see that later. Okay. So let me teach you how to create a private DNS between both these machines. Okay. So if you want to use this name from Windows and Windows name from Linux, then one second, let me. We also have one more item here in Windows PowerShell. This is also same like a shell, but the commands are different. Do you guys know the command PowerShell command to change host name? Let's find a PowerShell command to change the host name on your Windows. Okay. Rename computer, new name. What is the new name? Radical dot windowshost.com. Okay. Windows dots are not used. So let's rename that with the hyphen. Net BIOS will be truncated. Net BIOS name of the computer is limited to 15 bytes, which is 15 characters, and the network will be shortened to little. That is why I don't like Windows,
Yeah, host name only take a 15 characters.
This will change effect after. Okay, so let's restart it.
Shut down
Let's
here.
use, no, let's use this command hyphen restart all in one. Automatic restart. See, PowerShell is same as the shell in Linux. So it's a very good this one. Okay, so that will get restarted. Here I have already changed. In Linux there is no pane. You can do whatever you want. So radical dot my Linux host. Let's rename it again to suit Windows. Remove the .com and let's replace this with the hyphen. Done. Okay. Now you see hostname is changed. And the moment you fire this command bash, so here also you'll see that root @ radical hyphen my Linux host. What this bash done, bash opened a new shell. Okay. It opened a new shell. And that we can find it under top command. A new shell was opened by root user. Since it is a black screen, you couldn't identify whether it's the same screen or, things got changed. Okay. Plus, you can also find this netstat -plan grep 22. See, these are the number of sessions going on. 3218, 3823, this one. This is 3823 is the one we took it from Putty. When we log into EC2 user, then we became root. Okay, when you became root, a new SSH was opened. And within that root user, you again fired command bash. It again opened a new shell. See, so if I say Control D here, see, Control D, I am getting exit. कहाँ से exit हो रहा है? जो last time bash command मारा था उस पे. अब मैं वापस D करूंगा, again log out, EC2 user. So 1, 2, और यहाँ से भी Control D करा तो I will go out of the shell only. पूरा close हो जाएगा. So what does it mean? 3 SSH connections are going on. Make sense, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And why did I fire that command bash? Because whenever you make a change to your environment, what is this environment? You've taken the shell access to this, right? Right now you're root @ radical. One particular shell session is going on. And that entire session is known as it's working on one terminal. Out of this entire Linux operating system, you can take multiple terminals. This is one of the terminal. You can take another terminal like this, right click your putty, duplicate session, open. See, this is one terminal. EC2 user logged in @ radical host. This is also known as a terminal. You can open multiple terminals, but all these terminals do the activity which are mentioned here. Do an ls-la on the present working directory, which means the home directory of your root user or any user. There you will find this file .bashrc. So whatever is mentioned here under bashrc will happen to the shell. Immediately you do a SSH. Okay. So basically this file is invoked immediately when you take a shell of something. You want a proof to that? See, I'll become EC2 user. Okay. Who am I? EC2 user. ls-la bashrc. Open this file. Okay. EC2 users bashrc file is updated. Let's take a new session to this user, EC2 user. What will happen? It will take a new terminal. On EC2 user, this file bashrc will be invoked. And it will see that you are printing something. It will print it. And this file remains in every user. So if you want to invoke a script or something, or create an environment, create a path, import a variable, set a variable value, you can do that in this file. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Now env command. Env command will show you all the environment variables for this user, EC2 user. Okay. Now, if I create a new variable, let's say name is equal to radical. Echo $name. What is the value? Radical. Name is the name of the variable. Dollar means if you want to print the value of the variable, dollar. Echo is the command. This is going to print, right? Now this name, do you think this name will be available on this terminal? What do you think? See, it doesn't know. Why it doesn't know? Because this environment variable is only for this session. If you want to make this variable permanent for every sessions, what you need to do?
You'll have to update the relevant file.
Correct. You need to update the relevant file. That is known as importing a variable. And you can do that by like this. Export name is equal to radical. That's it. And then it will again not work here. But it will only work after you do this bash, because this bash will again open a new shell at the background. It will again invoke the bash rc file, and now it will do that for you. Now you do echo $name, you get the value. Make sense? Or you again take a duplicate session. Okay. Echo $name. See, right? Why? Because you've exported the variable and the value in the bash rc file. So every time you open a new bash shell, every time a new terminal is opened, every time a new session is taken, you will see the variable and the value. What it is known as importing a variable. Make sense? Yes. Excellent. So that's fine. I mean, where were we? What is the host name of my Linux? This one. Can I ping radical hyphen Windows host? No, still no. Did we, is it restarted? This is another form of PowerShell in Windows. Okay, there are 3-4 versions. Windows is such a pain. Okay, so your hostname is changed. Radical-Windows host. Okay, we can find it here also in your PC. Right click properties. Okay, so this is now fixed. Now, how to call this from Linux? So, how to create a private DNS? In your, let's become root first, sudo-su. In your Linux box, there is a file known as etc host. And this file can be considered as your DNS file. So what is the private IP of your Windows? What is the host name of your Windows? Radical, right? Just update the file with this small entry. And now you'll be able to ping the Windows with its name, with the host name, without going to the DNS. Okay, so this is known as creating a private DNS service between our private network. Make sense? Now, if I want to ping my Linux from Windows, what do I do?
Same, we have to enter a host file.
Correct. Now, in Windows, the location to the host file
C Windows System 32 driver 86.
Yeah, correct. So it is here. C Windows System 32. What to check? Host file in Windows. So host. Same thing. Mention the private IP of your Linux host. And the host name. Okay. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what you have done is you have created two virtual machines, Linux and Windows, in your private network. It has a public IP that is given by Amazon. That's a different thing. But you have created a private network. Okay. And what exactly you have done is, let's say this is your AWS cloud platform. And inside there is another virtual private cloud. This is your VPC. And under that, you have created two virtual machines. Linux and Windows. Okay. They both can communicate with each other via private IP and host name because they both fall under the same virtual private network. Right now, you are here outside AWS, outside everywhere. You're outside the network only. You're in the public network on the laptop. Using the browser, you're accessing the console. On the other hand, using the putty, you're accessing the Linux. On the other hand, using RDP, you're accessing the Windows. Right or wrong? This is happening on your browser. This is happening on your putty. And this is happening on your RDP. Is that correct?
Yes.
But the good thing is that when you're logged in into putty, from here you are able to ping this Windows via private IP and private host name. So that is that you have formed a cluster between these two, and they both work on private DNS service. Okay, so you have already laid the infrastructure for your application development and hosting. So basically, if you create more 10 machines here, and then you create a private DNS service for all of them, you created your own simple small scale industry. Right or wrong? Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now the question is, this is created in the Amazon's VPC. Can I create my own VPC and do all these things all over again? Can I do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So
we
that
can
is
do.
yes. So that is what we will do next week. Okay. Right now, you will complete this, and then next week we are going to create our own VPC. While creating VPC, we will first understand what is the difference between the major difference between the physical data center and cloud, and then we create a VPC. So that makes our life easy. And then once we create a VPC, then rest all whatever steps we have taken to create Linux and Windows, all will remain same. That is not going to change. Only the upper infrastructure will change. And once we change it, rest of the things will remain same as what we did now. Okay, makes sense? So that's it then. Any questions?
No. No, sir.
Okay, then. In that case, we will stop here today. As I mentioned earlier, that on the basis of the topic what we have on hand, we are going to take the sessions. Right now, your main motive should be try and understand the infrastructure. And once you are able to understand the infrastructure, rest of the things on DevOps will be pretty simple. Okay, so we are learning administration, infrastructure, DevOps, little bit of coding, cloud, everything together. Makes sense? But for them, these basics are very important. So you should definitely learn and understand this. Plus the links which I have given roadmap to DevOps. Try to go to all the links, try all the commands, do everything. Okay. And post everything on the LMS. There is a tab known as announcement, and there is a clear your doubt, then chat box also. Post it there. Everyone will be able to look at that. And then you can communicate with them also. You guys can communicate over the WhatsApps also if it is okay with everyone. And then work as a team. So expectation will be next Saturday when we start. The expectation would be every one of you have created the AWS account. Everyone is able to create the Linux and Windows virtual machine and do all the activities which I have done yesterday and today, so that we will be able to move ahead. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, then. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time and patience. See you next week then.